Hello, welcome to my podcast. In one of my other podcasts, I talk about thought forms. These are little like bubbles that we've got in our aura, thoughts that we have about situations, people. They are also thought forms that we have because of what other people have said to us. And sometimes people don't say things to us, particularly when we're little, that create good thought forms. They'll be telling children you're bad, you're naughty, you're spoilt, you're stupid, you're an idiot. So the child grows up with all these thought forms, and adolescents too have this problem with their parents continually berating them. This kind of bullying and thought form can happen at school as well, when you're being bullied or told terrible things, or you're fat, or you're ugly, or you've got a big nose. And these little thought forms, they lodge in the aura. The reason I want to talk about this today is because we can actually dislodge them even without really knowing or having to remember all of them. It's an easy practice to do, and it will actually help you to clear your aura of unwanted thought forms, and also then you can make new ones and pop them in your aura. The way I see them is bubbles. If you sit quietly and think about, you've got all these negative thought form bubbles all around you. I see them like little clouds. Some of them are red because I think that when people said to us, it made us angry. Some of them are black, and they seem to have, even, this is going to sound really weird, but some of the bubbles even seem to have like an edge, which is like a porcupine. I think they weren't very nice thought bubbles. Go back, maybe to your childhood, if you want to, or some time where you think that they were placed in, or think about the person who you think placed them in. So there's a variety of ways to do it. The first thing is you could, one, ask in your meditation, in your quiet moment now, that all the negative thought forms that are in your aura are pricked, like prick them with a little, look like a pin, and burst and are let go of and released from your aura. That's the first one you can do. That's very effective. You can actually remove them, ask them to be removed, but I've always seen that if I actually pricked them, it dissipated the energy and they could actually go and usually release from my aura. The other way you can do it is if you've had people that you know who have been abusive towards you, you say any thought forms, negative thought forms that I got from so and so and so and so and so and so, do it one by one. I prick them all and I release them. And that way you do it, particularly from people who actually have formed these horrible bubbles in your aura, which mostly weren't necessarily true. You were just told that because they were being mean and cruel. The other way you can do it is to do it in sections. So all the thought forms when I was at school, negative thought forms when I was at work. Perhaps you were in an environment that was toxic at work, then you do that one. Perhaps you were, while I was married to Bill or something. Whatever the thought forms and wherever they are, you can just go there directly to focus on them, prick them, and let them go. They usually have an energy of some kind of emotion attached to them, and I think that's why I saw the colours. So the ones where they said something really nasty to us, it made us angry, they'll be like that red, because anger is usually red in the body. And those ones that are dark, that would have upset us and made us feel really sad and depressed. I think people who have a lot of negative thought forms in their aura, and obviously then in their mind, they suffer from depression more easily and are not so happy and are actually more negative because they have more negativity by these thought forms. Once you start doing it, it's a quick practice. It's very effective. You should start to feel lighter. If you're quite psychic and intuitive, you could probably do a visual meditation, try and see your aura, see where they are. They often cluster around the throat, I think, and the back of the head, because we put them behind us because we don't want to deal with them. They also cluster around the heart chakra, and then I think around the solar plexus, where people are trying to disempower us and make us feel small, and sometimes shut out our light by doing this. Remember, just because someone said something to you doesn't mean it's true. Often it isn't true, but we're in a vulnerable state, and particularly when we're young, we will just absorb it like a sponge and think it actually is true. And that is why it's very important to say positive things to other people, because you add to their positive thought forms in their aura. which can actually give some kind of balance if they've had a lot of difficulties. Once you start doing this, you'll find it quite easy and something very doable in your daily life. So if you have an experience where someone's been mean to you, just go away and spend 1 minute, not even that probably, breaking them all and releasing them. It's also a really good way to cleanse your aura of negative energy. If you know anyone who's subject to this kind of treatment, you can do a meditation, see them in front of you and go through and just prick all the negative thought forms. If they want them back, they'll put them back, but it's a healing you can do for them. Because a lot of people don't know how to do this work. They're busy doing other things this life. They're not on this path. But it doesn't mean we can't send the healing or do some things to try and help them in their life. Once you start getting rid of all the negative thought forms, your aura will actually start to vibrate higher because you have more positive energy in your aura. The next thing you can do is actually add positive ones. I'm a kind and loving person. I have really nice eyes, whatever you want to say. I suggest you actually start building up positive thought forms in your aura. We can always be working on ourselves. The way I see it, we're not perfect, but we don't have to be. We have to just accept ourselves and just improve the parts that we'd like to improve. So if we're not very patient, we try and be a bit more patient. If we think we're too controlling, we start to try and back off and not be controlling and run other people's lives. But we're not saying we're a bad person, we're just trying to improve ourselves. The thought forms are really interesting. The little bubbles, I found them quite amazing when I first saw the pictures of the little bubbles. And I think now when you know about it, you might actually find it quite enlightening when you're with people, because I think you're going to pick up that have a lot of negative thought forms or positive thought forms. And because we're always reading people energetically, and you can go away and you can help your sister, your brother, or your friend by popping them all. People need help down here. We all need help, especially energetically. And most people are on a different path. They may be on more of a 3D material kind of path. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't mean that, one, we can't step up and start doing some of these spiritual practices and also help others. You will help their life to be less negative on an energetic level, and it would be much, much better for their aura. Sometimes you can hear what the thought forms are by how you speak about yourself. If you've lived with someone, I know someone who lived with someone who kept making fun of their meals and their cooking, and she had no confidence in herself as a cook because of all the awful things he said and the passive aggressive comments he made at the table. Every meal was a little bit of a nightmare because she'd get nervous about the comments from the family. Therefore, all those thought forms were in her aura. Now, if she sat down, did a meditation and just pricked them all, they would go away. And then she could go into that space much more easily and perhaps even work on her cooking skills in terms of just a reality check and get a few 10 signature meals that she knows how she can cook properly, and they turn out beautifully, and just rotate them and adding a few more here and there. It's a great practice, very effective, make you more positive, and it also takes away that control and abuse that people have had on you, that you now remove it. Because when people say mean things to you and cruel things and put you down, that's abuse. So we have these little thought forms of abuse, and once we prick them and let them go, our life is more free from abuse, and that can only be a good thing. Have a nice week wherever you are. It's sunny and warm in Australia. We're coming into summer, but I don't know where you are, so you might be coming into winter. So either keep cool or keep warm. And I'm sending you lots of love and lots of light.